Welcome back to .Life, Dorchester's only hyper-local podcast with news, commentary, and analysis. We have a great episode today. Tom O'Brien and the Reverend Jeffrey Brown are here to talk about the Carney Hospital site and what's going on over there. I'll let them talk more about that. But before we get into the Carney, we don't have Bill today. No Bill. We've got the next best thing, Seth Daniel.
I'm number 2.
You're number 2 to no one, Seth.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you.
Good to be here.
How are you feeling?
I've been struggling with my health, so I'm just kind of up and down, getting through each day as it comes.
So if you've got a little raspiness, people will know you're...
Yes, I'm channeling Barry White. Barry White.
Oh, love that.
I can't normally do that.
You kind of want to keep this respiratory problem.
There's something to it, yeah.
You can cut an album.
Right.
How do you like my shirt?
I don't.
Well, it's Thursday night, and guess what that means?
That means that it's spaghetti, I think, and meatballs.
We have the Texans tonight. We just came off a big win against
it was
the Bucs.
A big win. I watched it.
It's fun. It was exciting. Josh Allen got AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
I didn't catch that.
You did?
Well, he probably deserved it.
He did.
They can't give it to Drake May every week.
Oh, my gosh. Heinous. Who do you guys have on Sunday? Are you playing Sunday or Thanksgiving? You're not on Thanksgiving.
No. It is a Sunday game, and I'm blanking on our opponent.
Bengals.
Yeah, that's right, because they got Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's going to play. He's had
his first game back?
Yeah, supposedly he's going to play, and he's got had the toe thing. They all have a toe injury. What's with the toes?
Man.
I mean, you're out there hitting each other you're hitting each other in the head, and it's the toe that gets hurt. Why is that?
It's their Achilles toe.
Yeah.
We play the Bengals later in the year, and it just got moved today from 4:30 to 1. So I guess the league has decided the Bengals are not drawing primetime audiences.
I like 1 o'clock games. I don't like 4:30 games, especially this time of year, because it's 4:30 and it's dark, and it's like, man, this stinks.
Oh, see, I like that better because I want to be outside in the daylight.
Yeah.
The 1 o'clock game makes me feel like I've wasted
true,
my whole
but
day.
I do what I often do is just put the radio on and listen to it while I'm outside.
Oh, nice.
Not watch the game.
Yeah, but you want to watch the game.
If it gets down to the wire and close, I'm going to go back into the TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say the TP?
The TV.
Oh, the TV.
Television.
It's like, is your
they just
TV
came
in
out
a
with
TV?
TV.
Oh, man. It's been a long week, Seth.
Ugh.
You are relicless. You are not living up to your reputation of being in a relic.
I had one, and I've forgotten it.
Okay.
Yes.
You want to give us a taste of what it would have been? Or just...
Yeah, no, it's really kind of fascinating. It's very visual, so it's hard to describe. But and I'm going to bring it the next time, so I'll just give you a hint.
Okay.
It's from a lady. She used to be, she is the oldest. I think she still lives here. I don't know if she does.
Okay.
But she was the oldest Bostonian for quite some time. She got up to 106, but I think she moved to the Cape or something like that.
But she's still alive.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
She was in Charlestown the last I checked. She goes back, knew JFK before he was president or senator, and
Wow.
So one of the things that she did every day for decades was she would take a piece of charcoal that you draw with, and she had all these sheets of paper, probably 8 by 12, and she would just close her eyes and set a timer for 5 minutes and just draw with her eyes closed and then give it to people.
Thanks.
And, you might think, wow, that's a mess, but it wasn't a mess. There was some sort of communication in it. I don't know.
Do you think she was innately gifted at the closed-eye charcoal art, or is this something any of us can do?
No, I
okay.
couldn't do it. No,
Okay.
I couldn't do it at all. So judging on myself, no.
Okay.
But she had a knack for it, and all of them were different every day.
All right.
She had thousands of them.
Can't wait to see.
Because she's 106.
Oh my God. So, Seth, you have several big stories in the Reporter this week, but one of them is about the schools closures
Right.
in Dorchester. This is following on from several that closed last year. Now there's 4 new Dorchester ones in
Yes.
addition to some other ones throughout the city.
Right, through the city.
Which one's
Yep.
in Dorchester?
So one of the ones that's a beloved little school is the Lee Academy. It's not the Lee School, which is on Talbot. The Lee Academy used to be called the Fifield School. It's next to Dorchester High School,
Okay.
Tech Boston, the field there. And it's a pre-K through 3rd grade.
Oh,
So it's a small little school. The building, if you've been inside, it is not nice.
Okay.
It's old. It's charming, but it's not very equipped.
safe.
Yeah, it's just not, I mean,
Yeah.
there's electrical issues that can never be solved. They can't have air conditioning. The heat is, like a monster. What was there? There was a movie where
The heat miser?
Yeah, in the Christmas
Yeah, the heat
movie.
miser. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he called it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like that.
Okay. So, why was it always a school, or what kind of building was it? It was always a
Yeah,
school.
it's always been a school.
Just
It was.
hasn't been
I
updated.
actually heard from one of my coworkers who remembers that it was like a trade school
Oh.
for women. Fifield was a female.
They didn't need any
Yeah.
electricity.
There was none then. It's all fire, sticks. So I don't know, but they had to close that, and it's not popular. That was a very popular school, but really just for the kindergarten grades.
Okay.
A lot of parents would send their kids to kindergarten. They have some great teachers. I have some friends who are kindergarten teachers there, and it was highly subscribed. But as you get, one of the problems is when a school ends in 3rd grade, it puts you at a disadvantage because then you got to go look for another school for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, the way it's set up. So people would fill the classrooms and the kindergarten classes, maybe in 1st grade, and then there's a big falling out or falling off because they need to go find a different school that goes through 6th grade.
And do a lot of the schools, I'm sorry, I don't have kids,
Yeah, no,
so I
it's
don't
fine.
know all the details, but do a lot of the schools start at 2nd grade, and that's why they would fall off at 2nd grade?
No, that's the problem. Most
Oh.
schools are pre-K through 6,
Okay.
and then 7 through 12.
But they liked the Lee Academy so much that they would send them there for kindergarten. And
Yeah,
then, okay.
yeah. And I mean, they were just kind of like, well, where are you sending your kids? The Lee Academy. Where are you sending? And everybody just kind of did that. And then you find out, like, what are we going to do after 3rd grade? Because, so there's that conundrum. And so the desire is to make all the schools kind of match up, pre-K to 6, 7 through 12. And that makes sense. You don't want to have to
Yeah.
jump all around the
Especially
place.
coupled with a falling down school or a not in good shape school.
Right,
Yeah.
and but it wasn't popular. There are a lot of parents who were pretty upset about the closure.
Yeah.
Maybe not informed.
When
way they
when
would
is
want
it
to.
closing? This year?
So that closure is for the end of 2027. So you got 18 months.
All right.
So the rest of this year and then next year. Most people, if you know Boston, it's like, when there's a drop of water in the boat, everybody jumps in the raft.
So it'll be empty next year, is that what you're saying?
Well, there's always this mass like fear and rush for the exit. The
Yeah.
theater's on fire. No, it's not on fire. We don't need to escape. But yes, people will be looking for different places, and the kids
Yeah.
will have priority at other schools.
Oh, really?
Many parents have already been looking. They're already in that situation. They're kind of looking.
Yeah.
The other one that was really probably bigger news, and this is something someone could study for a doctoral thesis in education. We won't do that, but
Sorry,
so-
listeners, no doctoral thesis on this episode.
we don't want to put you to sleep, but it's the Henderson School. The Henderson School, is, we've talked about before, there's been some trouble there. There's been some violence, just kind of chaos in the last few years.
And Henderson is where? It's off Dot Ave?
It's on, there are 2 locations.
Oh.
So, yeah, I know.
Not
This
confusing
is
at
what
all.
also makes it kind of unique and difficult for the district to coordinate is it's on 2 campuses, and so kindergarten, there's 3 kindergartens, by the way. 3 kindergartens and 1st grade are on Dot Ave in
Okay.
that building that used to be called the O'Hearn, the Patrick O'Hearn. Now it's the Henderson Lower Campus, right? And it goes to 1st. But then after 1st grade, they go to Croftland, Avenue, which is further down by Gallivan Boulevard off of Washington Street.
Okay.
And it used to be called the Woodrow Wilson or the Woody.
Why do we rename all of our schools? I'm very confused.
I don't
How
know.
do parents navigate this?
They don't.
Angrily.
As you can see.
Angrily.
So it is called, the Henderson is a very popular man who's still alive. He was a principal, and he was really into what's called inclusion.
Okay.
And very early, it's now a common word in education. There's lots of gimmicks and code words in education and stuff like that, but he was into that way before.
Okay.
And what that really means is you were taking kids who were general education, kids who were in special education, and then kids who were like, had severe disabilities. Maybe they couldn't
Okay.
speak, and you put them all together in one classroom. And, there's supports, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a model. It was a really great model. In fact, it was a national model. People came from all over to see how it was working.
Mm-hmm.
It was working really well. Then they expanded to a high school, so grades 9 through 12. And when they did that, I don't know, there were always problems from the beginning, depending on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up, it just, less people started going there. After 8th grade, people would find a different high school, and then they would have to fill the seats, and they maybe weren't always putting the right people there.
Okay.
Maybe there were, if you have a kid who's severely disabled and they're next to a kid that's got violent tendencies, it didn't work well.
Right.
And so they have decided to wind that school down. It's very controversial. It is actually, there are some people who you'll hear nothing good about it, and some people you hear everything good about it.
Okay.
And there's a lot of alumni, like younger, college students who went there, and they're very distraught by this. One already reached out to me this week and said that, I was already written off in kindergarten at a different school if I hadn't had the Henderson.
Wow.
And now is at a university here in Boston. So
Wow. That's a
it's going to be,
story.
that one, the story is not over on that. That one is going to have a lot of discussion before it closes.
It's not a final closure, or it is closing,
Well,
but we don't know
we
where.
haven't discussed this first. The school committee has to vote on December 17th.
This
for
is
all
just the
of this.
proposal.
This is the proposal. Now, how many times has the school committee gone against the proposal in their history of man? Very few times.
Yeah.
So yes, this is probably going to happen. But there's going to be a lot of discussion about this particular school.
Okay.
I think one of the others that was on there was the Lee Academy, CASH. So that's the Community Academy of Sciences.
What did that used to be called?
The Grover Cleveland.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I was just kidding.
No. So it's in Fields Corner. You might have seen it. It's a massive building that is right across from the T station.
Yep.
Brick building, typical looking Boston school. And it had been the Grover Cleveland. It was a middle school, very popular. There were a lot of really great athletes that came out of there, including an Olympian medalist.
Yes, Grover Cleveland was a famous athlete.
Well, Grover Cleveland was an Olympian. No, he wasn't.
No, he was not.
But anyway, it got repurposed. The Arts Academy was there temporarily for a little while.
When they were redoing that gorgeous new
Yes.
building in Fenway. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And CASH, the Community Academy of Sciences and Health, was put in there. And CASH really never took off the way it was supposed to. There's about 300 students. Again, what ended up happening was a lot of people didn't choose it, so they would just
Okay.
be assigned there. What ended up happening with CASH is there were a lot of kids who were refugee, who were migrants or newcomers, and when they arrived in Boston, it's like, where do we go? Go to CASH. That actually produced a very talented soccer team. They're actually really good at soccer. Extremely good, in fact. But the high school was just one where, maybe they would go there one year and they're like, this isn't for us, and then they would leave. A lot of people leaving, a lot of turnover, and it just never, the sciences and the health aspect, I don't know if that ever really, I'm not inside the building. Maybe it was critical to the curriculum, but I don't think so.
Okay.
So what they're going to do, what they talked about doing, is there is another factor here. There's a school called BINCA, the Boston International Newcomers Academy, right? Same sort of thing. It's a lot of kids who are refugees, or when they come, and it's actually in Dorchester. It's in Maxwell Street.
Okay.
That's further over on the kind of the western side off of Washington. And they're talking about just combining those and putting them there.
At the Binka.
No,
At the Cache.
At the Cleveland, that is now the Cache, that will not be the Cache, but will be something
It'll
else.
be the Binkash or the
Well,
Cabot.
they're expecting, Boston's an international city. There's a lot of kids who come in, multilingual learners is what they call them, and this will be kind of a complex for that, right?
Okay.
There's ideas that there's going to be a Cape Verdean Creole Academy in Boston Public Schools. Maybe it'll go there. Binka, maybe there'll be a Haitian Creole, maybe there'll be a Spanish only. There's some of that. So that's kind of where they're going to address language and things like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are all of these timings end of next school year, or are they different based on the
All the
school?
ones we've talked about so far are. Now, there's
Okay.
one outlier, which is the Russell Elementary, and that's on Columbia Road.
Okay.
It's a smaller elementary, old brick building again, but they are not taking anything away. They're adding a sixth grade. If you
Okay.
remember, we talked about the Lee Academy. It's really critical to have kindergarten through 6,
Yeah.
and they only had kindergarten through 5. So
Okay.
if you were in that school, you had to find a school for your kid for 1 year, which is not good.
That's not good.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're adding, and that starts next year. So
Okay.
that's a very positive thing.
Assuming this all gets accepted, which
Assuming it gets
we
accepted.
think it will.
Yeah, and the need here, I mean, I think we've been through all the schools in Dorchester. There's a couple of others that are not here.
Mm-hmm.
But the need for this is, I think, misunderstood because people say, old buildings, boilers, what'd you call that heating system?
Heat miser.
Heat miser. A lot of people think of it like that, and there is something to that. I find that a majority of Boston's old school buildings were really designed by very intelligent people, and I think that they actually won some awards. And if you've been in some of them, you're like, wow, how did they think to do this in 1898?
Yeah.
A lot of the schools are designed in the same way as some of these schools, and I think they're well done. But the fact of the matter is, it's not about the buildings. Boston has too much personnel.
And not enough
And not
new
enough
students.
pupils.
Yeah, right. Pupils.
Were you called a pupil ever?
Yes. Didn't care for it.
I know. Nowadays they call them scholars. I hear that a lot, and I don't know where that comes from.
I like
but,
that better.
But
That makes me think older, though.
right.
Pupil is little.
Old school teachers, when I was in school, were like pupils. And I'm like, I always thought, what in the world? And then you get confused by your eye.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you
that's
said
the
in this
issue.
article, in the 24-25 school year, so this is at this, no, that's last year. There are 112 schools.
Right.
By the end of this, if this goes through, there'll be 100, and they're trying to get to 95 by 2030.
Yeah. 95 is approximate. It could be down to 90. I mean,
Okay.
it all depends. And the factor here is what you just said, and that's pupils, that's students. How many are there? We are at an all-time low. I'm, kind of transitioning into a different story here.
Yeah.
But it's related. This year's student enrollment is an all-time low for Boston Public Schools.
We're
It's
low on pupils.
We are very low. We only have one eye. No, it's 46,000 and change. That's very, very low because, it was in 60,000s, 10 years ago I have in there. It's really, it needs to be, there needs to be more kids.
Yeah.
What has happened this year is that a lot of the newcomers who are really keeping the enrollment higher for the last few years have disappeared. More than 50% or around 50% didn't come back this year.
Massive.
It is.
Yeah.
So they lost about 1,700 students.
And what do they, is this because, there's, I think, several factors, right?
Yes.
The COVID lag. People
That's part of it. Some
have
people
not been coming
moved.
Back.
Some people moved out and they went to
If you
different
didn't have
parts
to
of the
work
country.
in Boston anymore,
Right.
you'd move away. And
Yeah.
that
Right.
happened a lot.
Yep.
I think also, do you think there's fear for immigrant families at the moment?
Yeah, I think
more?
there's two things there. I think there is some fear, so they're not coming out. But I think, quite frankly, I've heard this from some immigration folks, is that a lot of people left on their own. They're scared. They're like, we just got to get out of here.
You mean left America?
Yeah. self-deported.
Yeah.
But by and large, I think really what if somebody were to delve into it, I can't prove this. I think people have spread out. Boston is expensive. If you're just landing here as a refugee or a newcomer and you're working a slightly higher or a minimum wage job, it's not working for you. We've had some stories in the paper about that, actually. And, they're living in a hotel, trying to find an apartment. There is nothing. There is nothing they can afford. Money is running out at the state to subsidize.
And now the cost of living is higher than it's ever been.
It's very high. And so I think maybe people in that situation fanned out to other places in Massachusetts or outside of New England.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Buffalo.
On the lake. The weather is certainly better there. I mean,
if you like snowmen.
So that is a factor.
And I think people are having fewer kids. That's also
a big
factor.
one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And I actually just read there was a statistic that came out recently, and I just saw it last night, and that is the under 5 population in Metro Boston is the third. It lost the third most in the United States. So we're down 33% since 2005.
Wow.
Yeah. That's hundreds.
You went to BPS, right?
No.
No. Okay. Never mind.
My kids did, but I did not. No.
How many siblings do you have?
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're ruining my point.
Yeah. Well, let's say that I did.
Okay. Let's pretend.
Pretend. It's kindergarten.
We're gonna cut this. But I feel like there was a thing with like big Catholic families in Boston having like 6 kids,
Right.
And now they have 2.
Right. Well, one of the folks we're getting ready to talk about had 12.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. No. That is absolutely right. And there's actually just a lot of people who aren't having any kids. There's a lot of people who are here. They're single. A lot of people. I think it's not unique to Boston, but maybe their job has brought them here, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
And they're not going to ever use the public schools.
Right.
They might be here for 5 years. I have a cousin who's like 3 years in a different city all the time.
Yeah.
That's how his work is.
Yeah.
He's based out of the place he lives, but he's all over the place. And I think there's a lot more people like that.
And people get married later. They
Very.
don't have kids or have kids a lot later. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the trends are definitely changing. I don't think it's a bad thing that the BPS is trying to right size.
No, it's always going to be tough.
Yeah.
If you're in that community, that school community,
if your kid specifically is affected,
right?
Yeah.
It tears at you because you just can't like replicate it. Every time my kids went from one school to a different school, it just was never the same.
Yeah.
That's tough because you get to know parents and there's a whole thing and people are, what do you call that? Spending the night or whatever, what slumber party? Is that what they called it that? I don't know.
At the school? What?
Not at the school.
I missed that part of my...
They actually do that at the school, believe it or not now. But no, I mean like socially, kids get to know each other and they're at each other's house. And, and then suddenly, the school closes and Johnny goes over here and Eric goes over here. And that is happening. Yeah. Actually at the Dever, the one that's closing, there's a lot of kids that are, close friends, and some of them are in South Boston, some are in Columbia Road, and they're not going to be at the same school anymore. So, that's where it gets tough. Yeah. And quite frankly, the story that's about toughness is going to be all the teachers that lose their jobs. Now, the city and BPS says that's not going to happen. But, I mean, just do the math. If you look at all they've gone on a hiring spree in the last several years.
To address concerns about shortages of staff, or because
they had the money. COVID. They had the money. There's lots of specialists. A lot of the schools have 2 teachers per classroom. That was unheard of. When I came to Boston, I remember they had about 35 students to a classroom and 1 teacher. Now we're talking about 18 with 2 teachers in some classrooms.
Why do I hear so many bad things about BPS?
I don't know. It's just got a history that's just tough to overcome.
Yeah.
It really does. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dysfunction you'll find in the organization, but maybe not at your school.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's better on the ground than maybe in the
zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Ether.
The ether. Yeah.
All right. Well, so what's the next step on this story? We wait for the board.
Yeah, we wait for that. But the other part is that in 18 months, there's going to be more. There's going to be more
Stay
elementary
tuned.
school closings.
Yeah.
It's just going to be kind of a pattern for the next several years. The other thing that was brought up that I think is interesting is that in this past election, which and we're going to get to this, I think. There's a story coming up. Education wasn't even an issue on the map. It's always been a top 5 issue, right? So if you're going to close some schools, people call, they get mad, politicians get a little weak in the knees.
They get pressured.
Yeah, they get pressured. Nobody cares in those numbers. So it's not a political issue anymore. It didn't even poll top 10.
That's shocking, actually. So you're a professional segueist.
Yes.
Because this was a great segue. Your next story in the paper this week was you got to sit down, I think it was an exclusive that you had with Frank Baker, right?
Yes.
First time he's spoken since the election.
Right.
Frank Baker, longtime Dorchester City Council person who
Right.
then left his seat, retired, then unretired, and said, I'm going to run for at-large.
Yes, so he went citywide. He was District 3, which is, the waterfront areas of Dorchester, so the eastern side. And
he didn't make it.
he didn't make it. Yeah, he did, and he came in quite a bit behind Henry Santana, who took the 4th and final spot.
15,000 votes.
Yeah, and that was a surprise for a lot of people. I think some people are like, why is that a surprise? But I think it is because he worked so hard. If you observe the campaign, he was everywhere. He was reaching out to people. He was at block parties. He was really just giving it his all. And he had a good team. And it didn't translate to votes. I mean, his quote was, hard work does't pay off.
Yeah, he seemed a little salty, I'm not going to lie.
He's always salty, though. I mean, it
kind of
wouldn't
his
be
brand,
Frank.
yeah.
No, I mean, I was just talking with somebody about, not Frank, but about Boston in general, and in the late 90s and before I came in the late 90s, and that's just how everybody was. I remember public meetings were like, everybody was the same. It was really like cantankerous, and everything was a fight. And
it's a great word, by the way. Love that.
Yeah, I'm getting cantankerous every day.
So he said, he was salty about the hard work not paying off, but he kind of blamed the system. He said, well, a couple things. He said that his voters didn't turn out, which he was pretty mad about. Like, they didn't turn out for me because they may not have been a Wu supporter, so they just didn't come out at all, sounds like, right? And then the other thing was he thought the president and the federal politics loomed too large. Yeah,
I mean, that was a beyond Frank. That was just that was a thing with Josh Kraft, too. It was, when are we going to get to talking about the city? And we actually just never really did. Yeah. We could have talked about school closings. I don't remember it ever coming up. And here it is. So that is one thing. And Frank I really liked the interview because he had some great observations that I myself and others have been thinking about and observing. But he was out on the campaign trail. He wasn't the only candidate, but he could observe from a lens of being here his whole life and in politics his whole life in one way or another. And, really like knocking on a door, and you realize that, as he said, education wasn't an issue. Hardly ever came up.
Right.
Nobody was even talking about it.
Even the people who he went to their houses in the neighborhoods weren't thinking about education.
No, not really. Didn't come up.
See, when you said it didn't come up, I thought you meant like the politicians campaigning didn't prioritize it, but he didn't even hear it from constituents. That surprises me.
Yeah, it is surprising, but it reflects, like, if you have 46,000 people, or kids in the schools in a city of more than 700,000, it's a niche issue.
Right.
It used to be top 5.
I mean, it shouldn't be, because everyone should care about the efficacy of the schools.
But there's just this thing, it's like, and I think it also reflects, just a changing demographic in Boston, and that is,
Sinks. Single income, no kid.
Yeah, that is it too.
And dinks.
Right. What's dinks?
Dual income, no kids.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, you got a lot of terms here. I'm going to take that home with me. That's good.
Sink and dink.
So yeah, but it is that. But it's also what we were talking about. Sort of people. They're here for a while, but they're not here forever.
Yeah.
what do you need in the city when you're in that situation? Not much.
Right.
And then
Right.
the situations you were talking about, Frank made a good point, and it used to be, and it still is for some people, like if you wanted a door open, you had to find a politician on your side, right? You had to get somebody to speak for you. You needed a letter of recommendation if you were going to get that job in public works, You didn't just apply and on merit and have an interview.
The idea.
You had to find somebody who was going to get the job for you.
I'm so sorry that isn't the case anymore.
Right. And I think it does exist, but probably not on the scale that it did. And
Wait, he was making that as a point in his favor? Because that
No,
seems like
no,
a
no,
really
no. I
bad
mean-
thing.
but it's the way things worked here. So politicians, and I'm not talking about a negative thing.
Yeah.
If you needed to get a door open for you, and we all get doors open for us. In those days, it was through politics.
Okay.
As he mentions here, there's a different group of people here who maybe don't need that. If their kid needs to get a job, well, they don't need a politician to help them do that.
Yeah.
And that's a very good point, because it was a working class city. It's not now.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
that was a very good observation, and I've thought a lot about that. There's some talk around the city about this topic, and one person I know calls it the third column. So it's not the people who've been here forever or who've been here for a long time. It's not people who are just here for a few years. It's this group of people that come in and they've settled down, but they really don't need much. And they don't know a whole lot about what's going on around them. They like the presidential election. They're not too into city politics.
Yeah.
They don't call the police. Their houses don't burn down, I hope. They don't use the public schools. If they have kids, they go to a private school.
They might not even use transit.
They don't use transit.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of city services they use. They put
Yeah.
their trash out, and that's really it.
But isn't it incumbent on someone like Frank with so much experience in politics to understand that group and speak to that and understand that the city has changed?
Well, I think we're all just discovering that.
Oh.
I think this election showed that.
Okay.
National politics was a issue in a city election. I don't ever remember that being the case.
Okay.
That's very new. Very new.
Yeah.
We have a personality in the White House that really sparks that. But at the same time, even so, we didn't even get around to talking about a lot of the issues that always come up.
So even when W was in office, it wasn't about Iraq or
No.
anything? No. It was
Never took over city politics.
Hmm.
No, not to that extent.
Okay.
Not to the extent where that's what we were voting for.
Okay. Interesting. He did make a comment that, people like in JP and in like Rosendale and stuff weren't voting for him because of city politics. And I lived in JP for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a national situation in which people are voting for Frank Baker in
Right.
JP. Like that's just not his constituency.
No.
And I was surprised he didn't know that.
Well, one of the things he did say, it didn't make it in the story, but he said he didn't follow one of his number one rules of politics that he's always adhered to, and that is go where you're most uncomfortable and just post up, take the heat, and just introduce yourself.
Okay. He
And
didn't do that.
He didn't. He wanted to, but you got to remember, he got into the race late.
Why?
Because he was working with Josh Kraft. He was all in with Josh Kraft.
Got it, okay.
And some other campaigns. He's retired from politics. He really didn't want to get back into it. And he did get into it, but it was later in the game. And Boston is a lot bigger than you think.
Yeah.
And it's hard to cover. If you've ever driven through like that mass of like Roslindale, West Roxbury, Hyde Park, where it all just kind of looks the same and
Yep.
mixes together.
Yep.
It's a lot of streets.
It is.
And a lot of voters. And that base of voters, maybe it wasn't as active, but they've really energized.
Yeah.
So the mayor has put together, some precincts over there that are rivaling some of the best ones that are over here.
Right.
Which is Florian Hall.
Yeah.
And that's new. That's different. Some of those precincts were dead, when I was around them in the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd have just a trickle of voters, but now they're much, much more enlivened.
Yeah.
Different people, certainly. But, I think Frank wishes he had more time. That's what he told me. And he didn't. He went to the places where he needed to introduce himself to people he knew were going to support him, but didn't know him yet.
Okay.
So let's say East Boston.
Yeah.
Right? There were some people over there, didn't yet know him because he didn't run citywide.
But they're aligned politically.
They were aligned, and he had a better chance of really like capturing that vote.
Yeah.
And then going over to JP and trying, taking the heat and trying to convince people I'm not the monster you've seen on TV.
But he
or
was
whatever.
then annoyed that like the Florian Hall folks didn't turn out the numbers he needed to.
Yeah, well, I think Florian Hall did, but there were some other places in Dorchester that were just weak. South Boston was really weak.
And he's usually pretty strong there.
Well, he would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never had to get a vote there, but he
Right.
would have been,
Right.
yes, in past elections.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Scaling from Dorchester to citywide has got to be bigger, even
Yeah,
than like.
and I think he said that. He said,
Yeah.
the city's bigger than I anticipated.
Yeah.
And a lot of people find that out. A lot of people
Yeah.
I've seen who try to move from, district councilor or jump into at-large their first time out, they just, on the map, it looks pretty small. It isn't, though.
I have to say, it's not the friendliest city in the world. I've been here 11 years now. I think it took me about 10 to break through to people. So, and I didn't go knock on doors and say,
Right.
"Please be my friend."
Well, there's
but
a
I was
lot
close.
of ice,
Yeah. A
and you
lot of,
do
like-
have to break through it. But once you do, it's a very interesting city. There's a lot of strange stuff that happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like anywhere else. And Frank did say this also didn't make it in, but he said that one of the things he worries about, and frankly a lot of Bostonians who've been here all their lives too, is that Boston was unique. It had an independent spirit. It was kind of like screw everyone else, and we're over here.
Yeah.
Can I say screw everyone else? Is
Yeah.
that, okay.
It's a podcast, man. You can say F everyone else
There's-
if you want to.
Nah, I won't do that, but I don't want to bring the FCC down on you.
I hope I'm on their radar.
Yes. But, and that was kind of the way Boston was. And now the worry is that it's just going to be like everywhere else. And,
Yeah.
and that's a tangible worry for a lot of people.
That's an episode. I'm gonna bring you back on and talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot that has changed
There is.
for good. And
Probably for bad.
well,
Yeah.
we don't know yet. Bad is, that's in the eye of the beholder.
Let's stick with politics for one last story about the national level, actually. So we got some feedback from, you tell me,
Oh, yes.
because you wrote the story.
Right. So
Yeah.
this is one of those things that if you go to these civic meetings and stuff, there's a lot of people who have, proposed that civic meetings and neighborhood associations are dead and silly, and we should all just get along on Twitter and talk about issues there. Don't agree.
Don't say Twitter. That's not. That's not
Oh,
a thing.
right.
We
It's
don't
not
do
even
Twitter.
that anymore,
No.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Social media platforms.
There we go.
But if you attend these meetings, they are very informative. I do for my job, but I actually enjoy them anyway. That's crazy, I guess, but
I
that's,
like them. Yeah.
yeah,
No, they're
okay.
great.
All right, but I enjoy them, and,
Yeah.
and if I wasn't working here, I'd probably go to some still.
If I wasn't podcasting on Thursdays every week now,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
or every I do miss
But
them.
yeah, I mean, you go to these and you learn all kinds of different stories, such as previously you talked about the Whitey Bulger picture story.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't one of those. But this one is about national politics, and we have some movement now in Boston, and it's all under the, kind of under the table and very like people watching each other, like little moves. And
So Senator Markey is up for re-election.
he is up for re-election, and that's where this all fits in.
It feels like the Joe Kennedy race was just last year. That was 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
6,
No way.
yeah. 2000, yeah.
Holy cow.
2001.
So he's up for re-election. Seth Moulton has from Salem area, right? Isn't he from?
Yes,
North-
yes, he's
North
from the
Shore?
North Shore. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a veteran. Really decent guy. I met him a few times when he first ran for Congress.
You just like that you have the same name.
Yeah, I know. We
All the
we do
Seths.
share that. There are very few. There are more these days, but there are a few, and we got to stick together.
Well, yeah. Two people.
it's an odd name that very few people have. And
So he has declared that he's going to run.
he is running. Yes, so.
Ayanna has not.
That's the key here, and that's
Yeah.
where in Boston this particular story has its play, because it's all Democrats here, right?
Yeah.
So you're only dealing with one party, and one primary decides all these things. So will Ayanna jump into the U.S. Senate race? Now, there's been a lot of polling, and I'm not the first one to talk about this. There's a lot of people talking about it. There's rumors that sometime around Thanksgiving this might happen. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't have any inside info on that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the polling suggests that it wouldn't be a bad idea for her.
Okay.
Right?
Was Andrea Campbell also considered?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
she's the attorney general, and I think she's happy there.
She's like it,
she's
okay.
running again.
Okay.
So if Ayanna were to get into that race, it opens up a lot of different races. You know, she's in Congress now. She would have to give up that seat.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to take that? That congressional seat goes from Everett to Randolph and winds its way through Boston.
Not Dorchester, though, right? Or at least
Yes.
not my... I lost her. I have Nick
Okay.
Collins now. Yeah.
So, you mean Lynch. Steve Lynch.
Steve Lynch, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so yes, by the waterfront is Lynch and into South Boston. But
Yep.
her district winds through the South End, Charlestown, goes into Everett, East Boston. It's a strange district.
And is it cut by Washington Street, Dorchester? Or what parts of Dorchester does she have?
That's a great question. You know, it changed.
I know it's
And in
changed
Lower
like
Mills,
4
there
times.
was like some streets that were in, some that weren't. But basically, on the east side, you're going to have Lynch. Ayanna's more on the western side of the
Okay.
neighborhood, and in Mattapan. And then down into Randolph. You know, it's a strange district, and there's a lot of people in that area who
Yeah.
who like to move up and have been blocked from moving up, and so it's kind of a domino effect. And so, who tries for that seat, and then their seat, who tries for that seat,
Right.
and then on down the line.
So is there anybody, I mean, obviously she hasn't declared, so there's
No.
nobody running for her seat, but is there talk of who
Oh,
would?
there is lots of talk,
Is
and there's
one of
lots of
them-
maneuvering, and that's what this story is all about. So this was at a meeting where Russell Holmes was kind of taking a shot at Markey and Senator Warren, which is not usual. I mean, in an all-Democratic state, everybody follows the same script, and
And she's not even up for re-election, right, Warren?
not till 2030. She'll be
Right.
81. So a lot of people there's a lot
Yeah.
of postulation. Is that a word?
Postulating.
Postulating.
Postulizing?
Postulizing. Let's just go with that. And that she would probably, she might leave before her term is up.
Okay.
2030 is a long time. 81, people do it, but that's old.
You get pretty cantankerous by 81.
Yeah, I mean, do you still want to do it at 81? I don't know. So maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But there's
I'm
some.
shocked she's 81. She looks great
She's
for
not 81. She would be 81.
Yeah, but yeah.
And that's in the future. 2030 is not that far off,
Right,
but
right.
it's not today. So she, there's rumors of that, but Markey, his seat is one that a lot of people are talking about, and Russell jumped off script, in my opinion, and he criticized him. He said, get in the room. What did he mean by that? He says, your positions are so liberal that you're always out of the room when they're making deals. So this was about the government shutdown. SNAP benefits had ended at that point. The airport was in disarray and looked like it could get worse. There were other things coming, like heating assistance, WIC, which is the baby formula and diapers and stuff like that. And all these things were coming, and you got to remember, Russell's district is very heavily reliant on that. There are other districts where they don't care because there aren't that many SNAP or
Right.
WIC or anything like that. But his is, and he's saying, you've chosen to draw a line in the sand and make a point, and you're not even in the room to make the deal, right? The deal's going on, and they're making all these decisions, and you're out there making an ideological point, and people are suffering. And he said they need to get back in the room and make some be able to make decisions on these things, because he said that they were being so their position on a national scale is so unreasonable that no one ever includes them.
So he's basically saying be more like Tim Kaine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's basically saying, let's think of the people first. Let's not.
Yeah, sure, but the people who were in the room for the deal
Right.
are
Right.
not necessarily the people Massachusetts wants representing them.
He would disagree. In his district, maybe they do. Maybe they, I mean, do you care about Obama health care benefits or putting food on your table tomorrow? his district cares about food on their table.
I would imagine they care about health subsidies too.
No, because theirs was not on the table. We're talking about Obamacare health subsidies. That's not Medicaid,
Okay.
right?
So,
different
yeah.
population.
Right.
So, basically what he's saying is that he's taking a shot at them, and that was noteworthy. So there are other, I thought, let's see what the rest of the delegation feels like. We have Dan Hunt, state rep from Dorchester, and he's fully behind Markey. He doesn't believe that Markey's positions are so out of line that he's out of the room.
Yeah.
And in fact, says Markey is everywhere, and some people in the neighborhood have criticized him for being too old and should, be an elder statesman, and that's coming from people in the neighborhood. That's not me. And he doesn't believe that. Dan doesn't believe that. He says he's been very active, very helpful. When asked about Elizabeth Warren, he didn't have comment. So take that for what it is. Others, like Chris Worrell, basically didn't think that anyone should be in the room making those decisions, that they should hold out, right? And he agreed with the two of them. His position is a little, it's a little fluid. I'm not exactly sure where he stands on that. But basically what he's saying is at the state level, they were put in a very tough position, right? So the federal government's arguing and all this money's not coming in, and now they have to make decisions about what they're going to do, to help people who are not getting food access and stuff like that. Nick Collins, is his position, was that Massachusetts has always been at odds with people going back to the Continental Congress.
So he pulled out the Continental Congress card.
He did, right in line with, what is it, Ken Burns has a documentary right now.
Yeah, he does.
So it's on trend.
And you asked Representative Fluker-Reed and Miranda, and they did not respond?
Yes, they did not comment. They didn't get back to me.
Okay.
So this is all with a backdrop. Like if you've observed politics around here, there's always something going on behind the scenes. And this is one of those things that's going on behind the scenes. There's a million people talking about who's going to run for what when Ayanna announces. And will she? We just don't even know.
What's your sense on that? Yes?
If you're looking at the polling, I mean, she's not even in the race, and she polls pretty well. And it's a 3-person race, right? So
who's the other one? Moulton, Markey, and who?
Her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
She would be
it?
the
Nobody
third.
else has thrown their head in yet?
Not yet, no. And I don't think that they really would. So there might be somebody on the Republican side. I think that guy Deaton, he might have announced, but that's not until further on.
Right.
The election would, I guess he could have a shot, but Democrats would probably win this election, and whoever wins the primary would be the winner.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So we should know by next episode if Prez is in?
Maybe. She doesn't. If she's going to do it, she needs to get in soon.
Okay.
Because this is U.S. Senate. This is statewide.
Yeah.
So she's got to go to every corner of the state. We just talked about how hard it is to go throughout Boston.
Yeah.
Imagine going to Pittsfield in the morning
Yeah.
and Chatham in the evening.
She does have slightly higher name recognition.
Yes, she does. She does. But you can't discount Markey. Markey's been around a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been elected already statewide.
I meant then Frank Baker.
Frank. Frank isn't in this race.
Right. So I like Ed Markey. I do worry about age because I think we are seeing nationally that age is a factor. Obviously, since the Joe Biden fiasco. How old will he be next year?
I think if Ed serves out his next term, he would be 80.
Okay.
If he's reelected and serves it out another 6 years.
But that wasn't a factor with the Joe Kennedy challenge at all.
No one brought that up.
Yeah.
But he actually reinvented himself. He was definitely, when Joe Kennedy came in, Ed was definitely on the ropes maybe. I remember observing that election, but he reinvented himself because he was always into the environment.
Yeah.
And he was like the only person out in left field shouting about it. But now that's more of a central issue in America. Yeah. And so he reinvented himself. AOC and him became friends. And
submitted the Green New Deal together.
Yeah, and then he got on a bus, and he did a bus tour. He did.
Did he?
Yes. And he would get out of the bus in his tennis shoes. He wears tennis shoes all the time. That's his thing. And he would be full of energy and clapping, and so no one brought up age.
Yeah, right.
He looked like he could go play basketball. you know?
All right. We have one more quick thing to touch on just for to leave on a high note. We had
Sure.
192 new American citizens sworn in, taking the oath of citizenship
Yep,
at the
today.
JFK Library
Today.
earlier
Yeah.
today. And guess who was there? Our soon-to-be next segment guest, Tom O'Brien.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was there. I did not attend this. This was my my coworker Cassidy McNeely, and Tom was there. I think it might have been a surprise. He did speak.
Okay.
Maybe it was a surprise to me. I don't know if it was to her. These ceremonies are always great. They've had them at Fenway Park. They have them in smaller locations.
Faneuil Hall, right? Do they
Faneuil
do-
Hall,
yeah.
they do that.
Yep.
It's a real joyous day, and there's a lot of people who, this is, if we're born here, yeah, we're a citizen. Yeah, so what, right? And think about it. If you've come from Afghanistan, you escaped the Taliban,
Right.
you barely made it through, you somehow got a green card, you went through a refugee camp in Wisconsin. That's where they were, and then you've struggled to figure out what in the world America is and how do you get your kids to school, and am I going to be able to stay here? Are they going to send me back to the Taliban? I'm using Afghanistan as an example.
Yeah.
Because I think there were some Afghans there today. And then finally you get to raise your hand and you're an American.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're an American and your kids are Americans and forever you will be.
Yeah.
And that's something because, you got to remember a lot of the places we were using Afghanistan as a example. They're rough,
Right.
They're rough.
It's interesting to me that you made Wisconsin sound like the worst part of that journey.
It's awful. Who would go there?
It's so cold.
I mean, I hear that they fence, but who cares?
Yeah, I thought this article was really nice. It was obviously there were lots of tears. I think it cuts differently right now when
Exactly.
becoming a citizen is actually a protection.
It is.
And a protection
Very
for your
much
family.
so.
Yeah.
Right. Like life and death.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yep.
Yeah.
So really, really happy that is still happening. 'Cause you never know.
It happens more than you think. These ceremonies happen a lot, even at JFK, and it's a special time. Even if you have no skin in the game on one of them, they're good to go observe.
Yeah.
And just see. Kind of brings it home, for a citizen, maybe if you were born here, to see, what it is you have and how special it is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Thanksgiving. Segue.
Seth, this has been lovely.
Thank you.
It's always a good time.
Always good to be here.
I hope your respiratory
I've got
situation
about
improves.
2 more weeks to record a Barry White album.
We'll have you on Tiny Dot next time.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Seth. Go Bills.
No, go Pats.
Dot Life is sponsored in part by the Dorchester Reporter, Dorchester's own community newspaper and online home for all things Dorchester at dotnews.com. The Reporter, owned and operated by the Forey family, has been laser focused on Dorchester and the surrounding neighborhoods of Boston since 1983. That longevity and experience shows in its award-winning coverage every week. The Reporter is our go-to source for authentic stories about the people, places, and events that matter most to our daily lives. We are proud to partner with The Reporter and Dot News. And you can support the important journalism provided by The Reporter. Just go to dotnews.com to subscribe today. It's the best deal in town and helps keep our local community journalism alive and well. Welcome back to Dot Life. We have a really exciting topic today, which is the former Carney Hospital site down in the southern neighborhood of Dorchester. It affects a lot of people. A lot of folks are wondering what's happening down there, and who better to hear it from than our guest today. I'm joined by Tom O'Brien, who's the managing partner and chief executive officer of HYM Investment Group, which is the organization that is charged with redeveloping that site. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Aaron. How are you? Thanks for having us.
Doing great. Thank you. And the Reverend Jeffrey Brown, who is the CEO of My City of Peace. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So I'd like to start by you both introducing yourselves a little bit in terms of who you are as people and what your organizations do. And Tom, I'll start with you.
Sure. Aaron, I wonder if I could just start by making a quick correction. So Reverend Brown, My City of Peace, and the HYM Investment Group, we're partnered on this and other transactions, which maybe Reverend Brown will talk a little bit more about as well. So our company is the HYM Investment Group. We're based here in Boston. We work on a lot of large, complicated redevelopment problems that people may recognize throughout Boston. So the New Balance campus, we worked on the new Warrior Ice Arena, the practice arena for the Bruins, together with some other buildings there. We did the redevelopment of the Government Center garage, which produced the new State Street office building there. And we're also working on the redevelopment of Suffolk Downs to create 10,000 units of housing at Suffolk Downs as well.
So pretty high-profile things. People have mostly seen these, I would imagine.
We have a nice team of people, great partners, and we love doing the work that we do.
Great. Thank you. And Jeffrey, how about you?
And I'm Reverend Jeffrey Brown, and I'm the CEO of My City of Peace. It's a community-focused redevelopment corporation that is partnered with HYM Investments on Parcel 3, which is a parcel in Roxbury across the street from Police Department headquarters, about 8 acres. And we plan to redevelop that parcel. And then we are also partnered with the Carney Hospital, among some other things. And we're happy to be, tied to this brilliant organization.
Speaking of that organization, Tom, your website says if it's urban and complicated and other people are shying away from it, then it's probably right for us, meaning HYM.
That's probably us, yes.
Is there, aside from complexity, is there another common thread that kind of pulls all of your projects together?
Well, I think what Reverend Brown and I share is a desire to work on projects that kind of advance a series of needed objectives for Boston and Greater Boston. So Suffolk Downs, for example, is all about trying to create as much housing as we can. So there are 10,000 units of housing that are permitted there. There's a number of challenges to get the housing in the ground. We've completed the first project there, and we're about to begin the second project, which is great and heartening to get all those pieces in place. The Government Center garage was its own set of challenges. To demolish that garage in the midst of a very busy city was, its own set of challenges, and it happened to be over 2 MBTA lines, the orange line and the green line. So, the key is to form a team of people, work always as a team, be unafraid to share information, to be good teammates to one another, and to make sure that you do your job well before you try to hand it to somebody else. That's kind of our hallmark, and that's why I think Reverend Brown and we work so well together.
Yeah, they're also very iconic sites, Suffolk Downs, Carney Hospital. These are like well-known, appreciated sites in the city that are now becoming something else, which is a really cool footprint for you to have.
It's really great. I mean, I grew up here in Greater Boston. I was a Globe paper boy. Here we are not too far from the old Boston Globe. Yeah. People may not remember what that Morrissey Boulevard building was. So to be able to work on these kinds of projects and to do that, and kind of advance what I hope are good objectives for the city of Boston are really, it's a great thing to be able to do. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And we should let folks know who don't recognize the space we've shot here before that we are back in the Dorchester Reporter offices. So thanks to them for hosting today. Jeffrey, talk about how your organization kind of works with Tom in projects like these.
Yeah, well, it's about the complexity of the problems and looking at almost intractable problems and coming up with the solutions that benefit the community as a whole. We hooked up with him some years ago as we were doing projects in other places, and he said, "Hey, why don't we try to go after the Parcel 3 together?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." Parcel 3 is a vacant lot that's been vacant for over 40 years, 40 plus years, maybe even longer. It was a casualty of the state's attempt to try to put a highway through Roxbury, but it's laid fallow for a long period of time, and nobody's been able to really redevelop it. So the city has, Roxbury has suffered, as a result of that. But it's right up Tom's alley and HYM, because they really do care about, not only building, but building community as well and strengthening community. So we hooked up together and we were able to win the designation for it. And so then we said, hey, why don't we just keep going? Yeah. And so here we are with the Carney.
So when you say complex or intractable problems, do you mean physical or infrastructure, or do you mean more like societal or both?
I actually mean both.
Okay.
I think
I agree.
that there are some physical issues that have affected that particular parcel, but there have been some intractable community issues. When we talk about redlining, when we talk about some of the ills that have plagued, communities of color, that would allow a large, almost 8-acre parcel to just lay fallow for decades, to be able to come in and say, we're not only going to build here, but we're going to build what the community envisions they would like to have there. And to be able to successfully, get that moving is just an exciting thing. But they do it all the time.
But I think the key thing is, when Reverend Brown really is kind of a leader in this vision and the formation of My City of Peace, the key is home ownership, right? So we talk about this all the time. The idea that in the post-World War II America, when the concept of home ownership became something that was, spreading throughout the United States and across the country, home ownership was something that, for the most part, was reserved really only for white families. And so black families were left out of that. And so the idea is, could we use properties like P3 to create home ownership opportunities for black families from Roxbury? And that's kind of the fundamental hallmark for us. It's been challenges to get our way through it. It's hard. When we first took it on, it was 2021, 22, and interest rates were in a different place and costs were in a different place and all those different things. But we refuse to give up on it, and we're going to stick with it and make this happen.
He just took my, elevator speech. And I mean, that's what, the reason why I got into this work in the first place, to help build generational wealth for, families of color, in communities like Roxbury, to find someone like Tom who shares that sentiment and has the skills to really problem solve, within the difficulties around that. I mean, it was just a no-brainer for me. If he didn't say yes, I probably would have figured out a way to staple myself next to him.
Well, luckily you didn't have to get the stapler out. That's good.
That's it, exactly.
Well, I want to talk about the Carney. The last time we spoke about the Carney site on this podcast was, I think, April or May, with Councilor Fitzgerald and Dr. Ojikutu. And that was right after the working committee had released its initial report. A lot has changed since then. You were not involved back then. So what's the status now, and how did you get involved as HYM?
Sure. So we've paid very careful attention to the report that was, created. Dr. Ojikutu and Michael Curry, who chaired that committee, together with Councilor Fitzgerald and all the other elected officials, Senator Collins and other people who've been involved in that from the beginning. So that was one of the first things we read, is to make sure that we're well grounded in that and understood it. And it lays out a very good, important roadmap, I think, for all of us. So people may remember, and some of this, Aaron, I apologize for repeating some of this, but just people will remember that the Carney Hospital was operated by the Steward Healthcare Systems entity. They, somewhere along the line, they borrowed a ton of money from a group of lenders, including Apollo, which is a New York-based finance company. And so when the Steward ran the hospitals into bankruptcy, the mortgage holders essentially foreclosed on the property. I don't think any of them wanted to own this property. They didn't want to own the hospital. Everybody, I think, acknowledges that Steward was a terrible, terrible actor in this whole thing. And the guy who ran that place is off, wherever he is. So we were, as everybody else, we were observers, sad to watch that whole thing play out. Both of us have had, our families or other folks have had some interaction with the Carney. Reverend Brown, more so than I was, given Reverend Brown's the work that he's done, over his career. But so we watched it all play out, and the mortgage holder, the owner of the land, called us and said, we'd like to try and find a way. Could we figure out a way to redevelop the property? And the first thing we said was, well, there is this plan. The mayor named Mayor Wu named a group of leaders to put a plan together. We want to try and create something from that plan. And if people read that plan, it's pages 6, 7, 8, and 9 probably are the key summary points. And so our objective is to try and follow that plan if we can. So Dr. Ojikutu, Michael Curry, Councilor Fitzgerald, all those different folks have been leaders on this. What was needed was a group to kind of take that on, and see if we can conduct the community process necessary to make this thing go in partnership with the mayor and everybody else.
Yeah, the plan really identified a lot of issues and potential, but didn't box you into a certain plan, right? Like you could develop
Correct.
to meet that plan how you saw fit, which is probably exciting for you.
Yeah.
What was your first impression when you saw the site from a developer's lens?
I'd leave it to Reverend Brown to kind of say. It had been some years since I had been. So I my dad's family, had some history there, but but for me, it had been a long time since I'd been inside the hospital.
Yeah.
So I only got in it after it was closed, and it's heartbreaking.
Was it in bad shape?
It's in terrible shape.
Really?
It's a disaster. Yeah. It's
It's shocking that it was still operational so recently in that condition.
People say at the end there were just a few patients that were
13.
actually in the hospital.
13 beds were used.
Wow.
I guess the day before or the week
Yeah,
before
something
they
like
closed.
that. Yeah.
Wow. So had you been in it while it was still operating and had that same impression?
I've been in it while it was operating. Another hat that I wear is that I'm at a church. I'm an associate pastor. So families who go there, for various things, they have an active emergency room. So to go there and have prayer with them and all of that. And then I've been in that hospital over the years. Another hat that I wore, I've got a lot of hats, is I was one of the founders of a group called the 10-Point Coalition. So there was a lot of work that we did on the streets with youth who were engaged in gang activity or drugs. And so somebody would get hurt, they, would go to the Carney, and this is years and years ago. So from what I know from that 30 years ago to now, and to realize that Stewart Group really ran that hospital into the ground is just heartbreaking.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is.
Really, the Carney was more than just a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It was really one of the heartbeats of the community. I mean, people would get food there and fellowship with one another there. Whole families would be working there. It was almost like a family tradition, to work at the Carney, and then have all of that just be ripped away.
Yeah.
Was really heartbreaking to the both of us. And so.
And to not see it invested in over years and years.
Oh, absolutely.
Disrespectful.
It was the second largest employer outside of UMass Boston for Dorchester. Mm-hmm. And so it leaves a really big hole at this point.
I mean, aside from these very negative perceptions, when you first saw it after it had closed, did you see a vision? Did you see opportunity? Or was it more just, wow, there's a lot here?
Yeah, it probably is in the category that you started off with us of, if it's urban, if it's hard, then it's for us, right? So we, I don't think we looked at it. I don't think anybody who looks at it today says, oh boy, this is an opportunity from the perspective, okay, this is going to be easy, to use your word, easy. It's a challenge. Yeah. But I think if you step back from it and look at the basic characteristics of what the entire site presents, you've got 12 plus acres, you've got a community that is an active, beautiful community that cares deeply about the site and cares deeply about what happens next. You've clearly got a healthcare need and a community whose healthcare need is not met today, so that produces a demand. And so our focus is, okay, how do we take that healthcare need, take that demand, and focus that into what physically can be created? That building itself probably is not the building in which you can do that. But the site could also produce some other pieces as well. So the report, for example, Mayor Wu's report, suggests some housing, some senior housing. There were a lot of beds there. It was more than, just as Reverend Brown said, it was more than a hospital. There were psych beds there. There were there was a medical office building there in which people saw their doctor just for regular appointments. So there was a lot that was on that campus.
Was there a nurse training building?
There
as
had
well?
been, historically, in the La Brea building, there had been, that was a really important, the UMass Boston Nurse Training Program, which is a illustrious program, really, part of the flagship of that campus. that program existed from around 1960 or so. And a lot of the roots of that, I think, came from the nurse training facility that was at the Carney Hospital. So
Okay.
there were quite a few nurses who were trained in that regard.
Yeah.
I think it's not, you can't look at it today and say, oh boy, opportunity, but you look at the history of it, you look at the basic, characteristics, as I said, of the site, and there's a lot that, you can work with there.
Yeah. I mean, to that end, you've been going to a lot of civic association meetings and talking to abutters and getting a lot of feedback, I'm sure. What are the things that you're hearing from folks?
Yeah, we thought it was very important if we were going to begin this process to go back to the community and just listen to folks. We heard a lot of grief, and I don't mean grief like, people sort of yelling, although there might have been one or two. But, but people were grieving the fact that the hospital was gone, and we needed to express that, and so we heard that. But then we started to hear other things in terms of what they would like to see there. Of course, everybody wants...
Wegmans? That's my vote.
Well, I don't know about Wegmans. Did not hear Wegmans.
Did not hear that.
But, well, you can chalk up a point for Wegmans now.
Yeah. But some of the suggestions that had come from the report from the city, people were expressing, like senior housing, and really look into things like rehab and maybe memory care. As a part of that.
Yeah.
Some housing, people were thinking about that as well, because there is a need for more housing in the city. And several other things I can't really recall.
And healthcare use. I think it's central to everybody is, okay, I think everybody looks at us and says, okay, we understand what happened, why it closed, but we need healthcare. And so the idea around different uses that that people have said, that's been a key part of what we've heard.
Yeah, I know there was a point in the original report that they were going to try to keep an emergency room on site. I don't know if that. I think the one that was there has now closed. So we'll see if that.
It's all closed.
Back.
And when you don't use those machines regularly, they run into problems.
Yeah.
And so.
What misperceptions do you think people have of the site or the project that you want to clarify? Anything?
I don't think there's much that comes to. I mean, I think the key thing is to talk people through what the healthcare use can be.
Yeah.
Some people will look at us and say, "Well, gee, why can't you just reopen the doors and have it be a hospital again?" And so, you can remember what happened back then, and all the hospital systems, as far as I know, looked at it and just said physically it's not going to work, and so that's why the report kind of says. Kind of emphasizes a healthcare use. It doesn't ever say it can reopen as a hospital.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for folks who don't fully understand, which is what I would count myself among them? Why can't you just reopen it as a hospital? Is it because the condition of the building is so bad, or the state of healthcare is different than it was, or all of the above?
It's probably confusing for people, because I think if you ask a hospital executive in Boston today, they would say we're overburdened. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough facility. But I think what they would say on that last piece is they would say we don't have the right kinds of facilities. That's the challenge. So what the Carney is, this is just us kind of looking at it. The Carney is an older facility that was not invested in by Steward and was kind of run into the ground. And as a result of that, it doesn't work physically. Plus, I think what the report clearly outlines is hospitals are a highly regulated, very political, entity. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, to just reopen it as a hospital requires tons and tons and tons of money. And I think the thinking on the part of most hospital executives is because of the inefficiency of that building and the inefficiency of that space, it doesn't make sense to do that.
Would it have to be a full demo and rebuild if you were to do a hospital there? And that seems unachievable.
Well, I do think one thing to think about for people is if the building itself is not usable, should it be demoed now? If you don't demo it now, it could just sit there as it is for a long period of time. Our objective is to try and produce something for the community. So it may be that the building needs to come down.
Okay.
So the question is, okay, what goes in its place? It probably is a new, more efficient healthcare building that would have hopefully emergency services, MRI machine, X-ray, day surgery,
Day surgery.
that sort of thing.
Okay. You had mentioned, Jeffrey, that there were some challenges to the site. Can you kind of dig into those a little more? It seems like it's a fairly level site, right? Is it?
No,
It's not.
big
Okay.
topography. That's a
Oh,
big
really?
challenge. Yeah, big.
And is that all pudding stones and like
A lot of it,
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's historically,
Yeah.
it's a really interesting thing. I mean, just think about it.
Just not fun to dig in.
There's a big grade change from the front to the back.
Okay.
But it can then connect into the park, and the park,
That's cool.
is a great connection. And the baseball field down below is well cared for. I think it floods in the spring, but the baseball field is pretty well. There's two ball fields actually. There's the smaller ball field, which is down on the other side.
Yeah, on Adams, and then
on Adams. Yeah. But it's a huge grade change. That's a challenge.
Do you, as far as like utilities, like sewage and water, and is that all crumbly too? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, the street. I mean, you actually don't need that, and if you're going to knock the building down, the sewage and water and everything, all those connections in the street are just fine. So that's all good.
Okay.
And it's a good transportation hub. You got good bus access. You have, you're not too far from Ashmont Station. You're actually not too far from the Red Line trolley. So it's
right.
So the transportation access is not bad.
Yeah. That was actually something I noticed about your projects in general at HYM, Tom, is that there tends to be a transit element to them, whether it's Suffolk Downs, which is on the Blue Line, or I think Boston Landing. They created
Yes.
a new station for
station.
that. So is that something you guys look for? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for the first time in a long time, we have a MBTA general manager who's actually a trained person who knows what he's doing. Phil Eng, who's terrific. Huge amount of credit to the governor, Governor Healy. She recruited and found this person. It's been a huge difference, I think, for all of us. I mean, I'm on the T just about every day, and the T is 100% different than what it was.
There's a reason we call him Train Daddy.
Yeah,
He earned that
exactly.
name.
He's
no
terrific.
doubt he is fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
So what about the social side of it? We talked about some of the needs that people have. Are there concerns about construction, about luxury housing? Like what are the things you're hearing people say?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some discussions around housing and what kind of housing should be there. People have preferences. Is it luxury? Is it mixed use? And all of that. But I think really the central concern for many of the residents, particularly ones who live close by, is can we recreate that sense of community that we lost when the Carney was closed? And so, we've been thinking a lot about how we can, develop that property so it gives community a chance to flourish again.
And I'm sure the businesses down there would like that too.
Oh, of course
because
they
they
would,
must have lost so much business when that closed.
Yeah.
The pharmacy that was there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that we've heard from folks is that, can we have a pharmacy? But there was a couple who ran the pharmacy in the Carney, and they had to move further into Dorchester. They're
on Bowdoin Street now.
On Bowdoin Street
Okay.
now. But, maybe they would like to come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those types of things that sort of sustain community, really has to be recaptured.
I think it's really helpful that you local folks are in charge of the development. That really gives some credibility to that local, angle.
I'm a Dorchester guy. I raised my kids here, so I'm not a native Bostonian, even though I've been here 40 plus years.
Okay.
Remember,
We'll count it.
I was not born there. So but I live in Dorchester. I love it.
So you've talked a little about some of the things that might be on the site, and I know it's early and there's probably no plans on paper yet, but can you give us a little sneak peek of what you're thinking might end up there? Will we see retail? It will be mixed use, right? Is that pretty much?
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
mixed. So, I mean, first and foremost, the report calls for this, right? So Mayor Wu's task force, that whole report, the central piece of that is a healthcare use. So there's got to be a healthcare use.
Okay.
So that healthcare use could be 180,000-ish or maybe 200,000 square feet of space. Probably, some retail associated with that too. There is talk. So Senator Collins filed in one of the bond bills from last year. He filed a study provision which suggested, hey, could there be some kind of nursing school or extension of the nursing school to this campus again? And so the thinking there is if you put a healthcare use there, could we have something that would allow nurses to kind of begin the practice portion of their education on the campus. Could
That's
there
so
be a
smart.
facility for that, which would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And then we've talked about senior housing and housing. I think, housing is needed.
Yeah.
And so, there's those elements in there are probably the basic elements that will go in. Plus adding in the potential for psych beds and other pieces that, that people have suggested as well.
When you say retail, do you think like restaurants or more storefronts or still
Probably
TBD?
A mix of both, maybe.
Okay.
And coming from local business people,
Yeah.
The food that folks used to get nightly came from the hospital itself, from the cafeteria
Oh,
there.
okay.
But, maybe some kind of breakfast place that would be there, some kind of
Yeah.
lunch place, some place where folks can just hang out and talk and just, doesn't have to be like a formal sit down.
Right.
Or maybe you might have that and then something else. People want to see intergenerational family
Okay.
interaction. If we're going to have senior housing there, could we have family housing there also, so that there can be some interaction? You have that beautiful park.
Yeah.
And we'll be abutting that park, so some kind of interaction, with that park would sort of fortify,
Well-
the intergenerational piece.
I was there last weekend, and I have good news. The kids have taken a panel of the fence down, so it's already connected.
Awesome. How great is that? Yeah. How great is Thank you very much.
Thank you for
We've
that.
begun the demolition.
Yes.
No, it is. I mean, reconnecting the park and kind of making that part of the overall development is a key thing. And then if you step back and kind of do a bird's eye view, that park then connects back into, you've got the existing rail trail that kind of is on the other side of the Red Line trolley path. So that connects you into Neponset. So the whole park system across to Neponset is great. So there's a huge amount of potential for us to just connect these pieces and make it all work.
And they just finished all summer doing rehab in the park of the paths, and the hardscaping looks really nice.
Yeah.
You have a lot of stakeholders that you have to keep happy and consider their opinions. And how do you balance all of that?
Very careful.
I mean, fortunately, we enjoy doing this work.
Yeah, we do.
We're together a lot, which is great. And, you have to sort of enjoy interacting with people and meeting them and listening to them and talking it through a little bit.
Yeah. But it's not just the community. It's the management company. It's the politicians.
Yeah.
And the business owners who eventually end up there. You've got a lot of voices in your ears.
The challenges on these projects are often not the finance questions. It's not the site-related questions.
Not the digging.
It's not the digging. It's always the people, you
Yeah.
know. And so trying to think through all the different people, the different relationships, the personalities, just trying to be, good in that regard.
Yeah.
So I think, but the two of us share that same desire and that same outlook. And, sometimes I'll say, geez, what do you think about this? And Reverend Brown will say, have you talked to this person? So it's a good reminder, to kind of go back and forth and just make sure you stay in touch with people and make sure that people feel heard.
Have you finished the tour, the listening tour, or is that still ongoing?
We've talked to 15 civic associations, and we have 3 abutters meetings. We've already done the first one. The next one is this coming Thursday at 7 o'clock at St. Greg's. And then the final one will be in December, and we would have concluded all of our listening. We also, have an email address for folks to write in, suggestions if they'd like.
Okay.
But and we like Tom said, we enjoy doing those meetings. Sometimes, people can get passionate in one way or another. But, we're grizzled veterans of that. And Tom, especially when he did Suffolk Downs, he must have done at least 400 meetings, community meetings. And, for me, as a church pastor, if you have survived a Baptist church meeting, you can survive anything. Yeah. So we got thick hides.
Well, it's not. I don't think in this case it's really directed at you. You're just getting getting the feelings. So thank you for taking that.
Well, it's like, honestly, we've said this. It's a little bit like we're the therapist up there. So we stand up and people are upset.
Yeah.
They've really not had much of an outlet. There was never, when the hospital closed, there was never an opportunity for people as a community to stand up.
It was so fast.
Right? And have an emotional sort of closure,
Yeah.
almost like a ceremony or an evening or
Right.
just a chance for people to stand up and say, my mom worked there, my sister worked there,
Right.
my daughter worked, my son worked there, my kids were born there, whatever.
Right. My doctor's there.
My doctor's
Where am I
there.
going to go now?
Yeah, so
it
no-
is.
no-
It's
that
very
matters.
disruptive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
One quick, can I just,
Yeah.
just as Reverend Brown was speaking, a quick shout out, thank you to Father Jack Ahern at St. Greg's, who's made the parish hall available to us for these 3 meetings, which is great. He's been a wonderful stalwart for everybody in the community for a long time.
For a long, long time. Yeah.
So you've got these listening wrap-ups in a couple of weeks, a month or so, and then what's next?
So we'll go back and we'll start thinking through what could actually be there and sort of in line with what people are hoping to have there. And then we'll come back probably after the holidays in January and make a presentation.
Okay.
And then it's the filing of the Article 80.
Yeah. So the fundamental part of this, just as Reverend Brown said, is the Article 80 process, which is the city's planning and zoning process. And so, following the report that the task force put together is really important in that regard. And then following that Article 80 process will be the next big step. So, so that will probably begin in the beginning of 26.
Okay. And people will be able to see
Oh, yeah.
as the project progresses. Is it on the HYM website? Is it on the city website?
We'll probably
Both?
we'll probably set up a specific website for this site. There's an email that people can send comments and thoughts to. We do this at the end of each of our community presentations. So
Is there anything that is trending right now in multi-use development that we can expect to see as part of this? Things like, I don't know, bicycle access or environmental design or solar power, all that. Okay.
Yeah. I know in one of our listening sessions, there was someone who, had concerns about that. And we said to them, that's something that's our concerns as well. So
They said we don't want bicycles.
Oh, no. Well,
You never know.
they want the environmental,
Yeah.
Want us to pay attention to those things. And so we said we would do that.
Especially that close to the park and the river and everything. You really want it to be nice.
just, our government center garage redevelopment project, just as part of that, we built a brand new facility. If people are bicycling downtown, there's an 800 space bicycle storage facility in the garage, together with bathrooms and showers and that sort of thing.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so
That's very nice.
That's so we're, you do need to pay careful. People have changed their lifestyle. People do like to ride bikes.
Yeah.
And want to, I think that's kind of the way you need to set things up. And also too, from an environmental and resiliency perspective, every single project we do, you kind of start with that, and there's a checklist of all the things that you really want to do and must do. So that's a key part of everything we do.
Yeah, totally. What's the time frame in terms of like shovels in the ground?
So usually what we tell people is the Article 80 process takes probably between 12 and 24 months to finish that process.
Okay.
As you're finishing that process, then the question becomes, do you begin the design of the actual building? So to get through the Article 80 process, you produce what are called schematic drawings. So they're not fully designed, architecturally designed project
Blueprints,
drawings.
Yeah.
So during the course of probably the completion of that, we would design the building. It probably takes about 12 months to fully design the building in order to get a building permit. And then that healthcare building probably takes about, I'm going to say 28 months or so to build. Something like that.
So opening in 2028?
Eight-ish.
Later
Yeah.
20, okay.
We think if we do this right, if we run this process well and follow the path laid out by the report, that we think we can produce something that is approved in the Article 80 process that will be, valuable to one of the healthcare systems to want to run it.
Okay.
And so getting that, lined up, getting that agreement in place should allow you to build this pretty quickly.
And do you all take care of finding tenants? And
we would try to, we try
Okay.
to, so we find the financing, we find the, who's going to run it, we find all those different pieces.
Okay.
Yes.
so would you open things on a phased basis here, or do you think it would be kind of like the old Carney site is open for business?
I think the hospital, when it opens, will open all at once, and all of the things that folks were desiring to see in there would be in there. The other parts,
Like the housing and the retail and stuff,
housing will take a bit longer.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, don't you feel like for the community, and certainly for the elected officials and for the mayor, they're going to want to see the healthcare use first
Yeah, it's
before
gotta be the
other
first
uses.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'd like to shift a little bit to talk about each of you. We'll start with you, Tom. I know you're married with kids.
I am, yes.
Jeffrey was talking about wearing a lot of hats earlier. You also wear a lot of hats.
We do. Yeah.
You were formerly the head of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, which is now known as something else.
The planning department.
Planning Department. You're on several boards and involved with several organizations. First of all, how do you find the time? And secondly, what issues or causes are top of mind for you right now?
Aaron, you didn't prep us for this part of it. So my wife is Tricia O'Brien, Tricia Joyce O'Brien. Tricia and I met on a blind date 34 years ago, and we've been married for 32 years, almost 33. And our kids, we have 5 kids. We say we have one in heaven. So we lost a child years ago. And I would say, one of the top of mind issues for us has been to remember her. Her name is Marisol Liliana O'Brien, and to help to foster research into the disease that took her life. But in addition to that, though, my wife and I are what we would say, believers in Catholic social teaching. Kind of that part of our faith, and the sense of our faith teaches us to be a good neighbor to folks, to be welcoming to people, to do what we can to try and create opportunities for people to, find their way into a better life, particularly if they're people who are struggling with healthcare or homelessness or things like that. So that drives a lot of what we do.
And Reverend Jeffrey, how about you? Same question.
So I can re-describe the house, but I live in Dorchester. My wife Dee works in Cambridge, and she works for the city manager. She's the chief of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I still think they call it that, in Cambridge. We've residents of Dorchester, raised 3 kids. They are in their, I won't say their ages, they'll probably say, Dad, don't say that. They're in their 30s and going into, their mid to late 30s, I guess I can say that. And they live in Louisiana, and my son lives in the Philadelphia area, and my youngest lives in Michigan.
They stopped aging at 29. I hope they didn't tell you that.
That's it.
All right, I'm going to tell them that. All right, you guys are no longer aging.
And what, aside from your work, what keeps you busy?
Well, what keeps me busy is, having conversations with this guy right here and all the projects that we're engaged in. And, of course, 12th Baptist Church, which is in Roxbury. A pastor there is the Reverend Dr. Willie Bodrick, the second young man, really great, young, insightful, thoughtful young man, and a really good preacher. So
college football player, too.
Football player, too. Loves watching the University of Georgia, unfortunately. But, I can't seem to move him this way or the Patriots. I've been a Pats fan for a long time.
I told you where I'm from, so we won't talk about it.
Since we're on the air, I want to show everybody my hat.
I did not approve this merch.
We're back, in case anybody was wondering. But
great coach. Great coach.
They do.
Yeah, really good coach. Really great young team too. But time between the church and then, of course, I was one of the co-founders and am now one of the board chairs of Embrace Boston, and we just recently put the Martin and Coretta Scott King Memorial on Boston Common, and we're working on some other projects related to belonging. And so all of that keeps me busy.
It's a tough environment to be fighting for those things, but I appreciate it.
Well, you all got to hang in there.
We really do.
You got to fight harder during these times. Yeah.
Well, I think, we said this to somebody the other day. If you picture the summer of 1863 in the United States of America, when you just had finished this terrible battle at Gettysburg, but things were still up in the air as to whether or not. We've, as a country, we've been through terrible crises, and whoever thought that the president of the United States would want to kill the city of Boston or kill the institutions here? But we have to keep, standing up every day. Everybody has to keep doing the work that they do every day.
Yeah.
It may not seem exciting or sexy or whatever, but just keep doing the work you're doing every day. That's the key thing.
It's not our first fight, and it probably won't be our last.
Won't be our last, but we are Boston strong.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is a similar question, but when your projects get tough or when they get controversial, when you're getting that grief that is directed at you, maybe in an unfair way, what keeps you grounded? What keeps you going?
For me, it's my wife. You probably have the same answer. For me, it's my wife. My wife is a very strong-willed, strong-minded person, firmly rooted in our faith. And so, if I for a moment get a little bit low or remotely feel sorry for myself, she's always the one to look at me and say, "Get a hold of yourself." And I think the key thing for people out there, and you can say this a lot to young people, I think, the key thing in your life is to be resilient. To stand up and keep going. Because there are some good days, but there's going to be some really bad days, and you just got to keep going and get up every day and try and be the person you're trying to, that you're instructed to be, which is to be good neighbor, good to folks. Our kids will look at me and say, "Okay, the two rules are love God and love each other," and that's kind of what it is. So.
I actually paid him to say that.
Whatever it takes to get the Lord's work done.
Yeah. As long as we're rooted and grounded, we'll be all right. And I think about something. I was in a meeting a few weeks back, and there was a former state rep who was sitting there, African American, and we were talking about what was happening and the possibility of, federal troops coming into Boston, and all of that. And he sort of looks at everybody and he says, "Look, we've been through worse." And I haven't forgotten that over these weeks that, things have been pretty bad. And I mean, I've dealt with issues like violence in our streets, and he's right. We have the resiliency to get through what we are facing today and get through being stronger than what we have ever been. And so, all of what he said, and including this.
Love that. I'm going to end this on a slightly lighter note. I've got two questions for you. The first one is, what's your favorite building in Dorchester?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one. So can I say, so we had a meeting at UMass 2 weeks ago, and walking the UMass campus and so it's not really a building per se, but the open space that's been built and created in the center of the campus over the last year or two is really beautiful. Yeah. And the UMass administration has done a great job. So it's the collection of buildings, but really the open space in the middle. For people who haven't really walked that in a couple of years, I think it's just been completed in the last year or two. It looks beautiful. It's really, really great.
And that was a tough assignment, right? Because originally it was not a pretty campus.
No, it's not, and it's an environmental, issue, and it can be kind of windswept and things like that.
Yeah.
But my wife is a UMass Boston alum, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Great spot.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
But my mother lives with me now. She's 88 years old, and she's been living with us now for the past 5 years or so. And what she loves to do is to get in the car and have me drive through Dorchester, because where she's from in Harrisburg, there were a lot of projects, but the housing here is so beautiful.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
And
especially over in your neighborhood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. and when she, gets in the car, sometimes I have to slow down because she wants to look at this building. and so I just love the neighborhood in general and the variety that we have, and to be able to drive her through and have her say, "These houses are so beautiful." And I'm like, "Yes, they are."
Yeah. And then the last question for everyone who joins this podcast is always, what's your favorite place to eat in Dorchester?
Well, we got to say, Sweet Life is like our spot. So I'm probably
you'll be there a lot more as time goes on.
I'm a 2 scrambled eggs and a raisin bagel, and we've been there a lot actually, which is great. So we love Sweet Life.
Well,
I love Sweet Life.
yeah,
I don't want to speak for you.
I love Sweet Life too. My wife loves Tavolo's, which is right there in Ashmont. I used to love the Ashmont Grill. I also like the food at the Mix. It's a different kind of environment now.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the spots. I mean, we go to Tavolo so often that we sit down, they automatically know what we want. So
Yeah, we do miss the Ashmont Grill. The Ashmont Grill that was a good spot.
That was a gorgeous
Especially
spot.
when our kids are younger. That was a good place.
That
Nice
was a
patio,
good spot.
too.
Yeah.
Couple of other Jamaican restaurants up there on Washington Street. I'll go in there if I want something really hot.
Yeah.
So I'll eat that.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for joining. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
the update, and we will be watching. I'm sure there'll be a lot coming out of the Carney site soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Very
Thanks, Aaron.
much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dot Life is supported by The Record Company, Boston's leading provider of accessible music creation spaces. The Record Company is addressing the critical shortage of affordable creative space in our city, serving over 4,000 monthly users across 131 communities. They've preserved 47,000 square feet of professional studio and rehearsal space at rates 60 to 90% below market value, ensuring Boston's musicians have a place to create, regardless of economic means. But they're more than just affordable space. They're building career pathways through partnerships with Bunker Hill Community College, offering professional certification programs that lead to sustainable music careers. This vital work is at risk. As creative spaces continue to disappear across Boston, the Record Company needs community support to maintain these essential resources. Their Amplify Boston campaign directly funds space preservation and career development programs. Visit therecordcompany.org today. That's therecordco.org to donate, become a monthly supporter, or learn about partnership opportunities. Every contribution helps keep Boston's music ecosystem thriving. The Record Company, creating accessible pathways to music creation since 2010. Welcome back to Dot Life. I'm excited to be joined today for this week's Tiny Dot concert by Tizy. Hey, Tizy.
Hi, thanks you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming in all the way from West Roxbury.
Yes.
Nice. Great part of the city. Don't get a lot of Westy people over here, so thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm actually from all over Boston. So
Oh, really?
That's where I live now, but I've grown up all over Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester Hyde Park, West Roxbury, JP, like everywhere.
There's so many great parts of Boston. How do you pick one?
I don't. I just kind of try to be all over the place.
So tell us about your style. Do you record at the Record Company?
I do, but not this one. I
Okay.
record on the other facility. I also have like studios that I go to. I have engineers that I visit.
Okay.
Producers that I work with. So I'm kind of all over the city.
Nice. Okay. So how long have you been performing?
So I started doing music really in high school. So it's been a long time. I was in a band shortly. So it's been like over 10 years now,
Oh, wow.
almost. Yeah.
And what's your style? What would you say your genre is?
That's fine.
That's a hard one.
I like to do a lot of different things. I have a lot of different sounds. I would say a lot of like R&B, like hip hop, a little bit of neo soul. Like it kind of mixes in. My voice has a style, and then like my brain has another one. So together we kind of make fun stuff.
That's awesome. I've never heard anybody describe the genre like that, so that's perfect.
Thank you.
You do have a little bit of like a Amy Winehouse voice.
Yes.
I like that.
Thank you. I get that quite a bit.
Do you?
Yes.
Nice.
A lot of people say that I sound like Amy Winehouse or Adele. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. I like to say that I am them with sauce.
I think that's also an accurate way. You are great with descriptions.
Thank you.
So, would you count them among your inspirations?
Absolutely. Them, the classic jazz, like Ella Fitzgerald. I can't even think of any right now. I'm so on fire. But like Amy Winehouse is a big one. Rihanna, Beyonce, like the big stars, as well as like Ray Charles, like Ella Fitzgerald, I said that again, Etta James, like all of them I started listening to when I was a lot younger.
Okay.
And I went to Berkeley for a little bit and UMass Boston, and I really like got into jazz. Which is why I sound very jazzy, because I love the style, but I like to modernize it.
You definitely bring a little modern flair to jazz. Yeah.
So I like to take the hip hop and the like R&B and like throw a lot of jazz like chords, a lot of jazz sounds, a lot of jazz intervals in there. So that's kind of how like I keep myself interesting, I guess.
Nice. So you're doing 3 songs tonight.
Yes, I am.
Tell us about them.
So there's If I Let You Hit It Now, which it's just like it sounds.
It's very sexy.
You know, very sexy, very like, you know, I don't know if I'm going to let you hit it yet. But,
But if I did.
Right, would you do this, that, and a fourth for me? So that's that one. And then Love Me was actually written in a time where I was like struggling a lot in a relationship. I dealt with a narcissist for quite a long time. And it's pretty much about the differences of like how those kind of people like are at home versus outside. So that's why I'm like, but in private, because like in private, you're a different person than you are in person, and like outside in the public with people. So that one is a very touching one for me. It took a long time for me to kind of like put how I felt into words.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little masterpiece. It's a mini little masterpiece, but I'll let you guys decide.
And then what's the third one?
The third one is called Clarity. Clearly I go through things. So Clarity is also about going through a lot and kind of like feeling like you can't take it anymore. But then like you have a moment of like asking the universe, God, whoever you believe in clarity and like universal sanity and like striving for better things, you know, and just living for the right to be who you really want to be. Those are the lyrics. So, yeah, it's just kind of taking a break and like really like taking the moment to like repurpose yourself, like realign yourself with whatever you kind of like were stepping out of from the beginning.
These songs sound very relatable.
Thank you. I know I am a relatable human. I go through a lot, and I feel like every time I go and call my friends, they're like, oh my God, girl, me too.
And then you're like, I'm going to write a song about it.
Yes. And then I'm like, how do I like get it out of my body?
Yeah.
And I write a song about it.
You write all your own music.
I do. 100%.
Do you find it cathartic?
I do. It's so like therapeutic for me to just kind of sit and get into this space and just kind of produce this. And then I enjoy playing with lyrics. I enjoy kind of like being intentional with what I write. So that part is like the funner part, because after everything is written down, then I'm like, okay, where's the double entendre? Where's the like the similes?
Can I tweak this a little bit?
Exactly, to make them interesting and cool and fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the writing process. It's a great process.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Do you perform a lot in Boston?
Everything is on Spotify. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, like all of the things.
Awesome. Great. Can we hear you perform now?
Absolutely.
Great.
Let's
Thanks for
go.
coming, Tizy.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Hi, guys. My name is Tizy, and the first song I'm going to be singing today is If I Let You Hit It Now. If I let you hit it now, would you let me in? Would you let my sins go? Would you take the win? Or would you let me down? Feel like I'ma drown, 'cause I've been hurt before, so I can't go another round. If I let you hit it now, would you be sincere? Would you tell me everything you think I wanna hear? Would you stick around or would you disappear? I don't know, baby, it's a little unclear. If I let you hit it now, would you let me in or let me go? Or would you stick around a little more? I don't know what to think anymore, that's for sure, 'cause everyone's the same. They wanna know your name, invested in the game, and in the end they lame. They wanna do the tango, they reaching for the mango, invested in what can go, and in the end they let go. If I let you, if I let you, if I let you. If I let you hit it now, would you be sincere? Would you tell me everything you think I wanna hear? Would you stick around or would you disappear? I don't know, baby, it's a little unclear. If I let you hit it now, would you think I'm easy or would you spread it all around? Could I sleep easy? Would you look at me the same or would you try to use me? I'm looking for someone to make me feel good, not abuse me. Easy breezy and just beautiful, baby. Beneficial trades work better in spades. I'm just trying to chill on a boat in Spain. That's the kind of life that I'm looking for, babe. Would you let my sins go? Would you take the win? Or would you let me down? Feel like I'ma drown. Cause I've been hurt before, so I can't go another round. Would you be sincere? Would you tell me everything you think I wanna hear? Would you stick around or would you disappear? I don't know, baby, it's a little unclear. If I let you hit it now, no, no. So the next song is going to be Love Me. It's a song that I wrote at a really deep time in my life, so I hope it touches some of you and it heals some of you and you can, just digest it and come out a new person like I did. Yeah. Love me oh so much. You can't go a day without my touch. I see you were hiding all along. The fake you really came undone. Couldn't even hold up the facade. The delusions kept on having their own thoughts. Couldn't even keep up, huh? You wanted your own scapegoat, you ain't got it. That bully shit really ain't about it. Manipulating people ain't attractive, and thinking it's okay to be reactive. But in public you love me oh so much. You can't go a day without my touch. I'm the best, baby, you know what's up. Perfect gentleman, gotta keep up. But in private, silent treatment on a daily ain't enough. Being petty, acting shady ain't enough. For you it's all a game of maybe. It's not enough for me to stay, baby. Gave you everything I had, yeah, that's enough. Thought you were my better half, yeah, that's enough. For you I run the moon and back, yeah, that's enough, baby. I know that you don't love me oh so much. You can't go a day without my touch. I'm the best, baby, you know what's up. Perfect gentleman, gotta keep up. But in private, Awesome. So this next one is called Clarity. And this song I wrote, there was a time where I really wasn't feeling clear and there was a lot going on and I just felt like very overwhelmed and like I was going to crack. So I wrote this song to keep myself sane. So I hope it keeps you guys a little sane too. As I sip, I sit and listen. Everything around me seems to be a little different. Focused on the focus, but it's useless cause I can't sit still. Thinking that this can't be real. I'm Losing it, yeah, I'm really losing it. My inner thoughts are moving in. Feel my body trying to switch, gravitating me to quit, turn into some other shit, begging me to get myself together before I blow the shit. Up, there goes my house. There goes the clout, yeah, there goes the doubt. Here comes the pain, playing these games. This shit is lame, I'm going insane, Clarity, yeah, I need some clarity for the higher gravity, universal sanity. Need to strive for higher things, living for the right to be who I really wanna be. Fuck this shit, I need to breathe. As I sip, I sit and listen. Everything around me seems to be a little different. Focused on the focus, but it's useless cause I can't sit still. Thinking that this can't be real. I'm losing it, yeah, I'm really losing it. My inner thoughts are moving in. Feel my body trying to switch, gravitating me to quit, turn into some other shit, begging me to get myself together before I blow this shit. Hold on, keep it going. The fuck up, yeah, I'm fucked up, yeah, I'm all fucked up, but you wouldn't know that, huh? See me smiling and you couldn't smile back, huh? See me crying and you couldn't cry back, huh? Feeling the lies, feeling the pain, feeling the anger in my veins. Shit is driving me insane, and every day it feels like rain and the clear skies never came. Yeah, I'm going through my vein. Yeah, you think that I'm insane, but I'm just going through some things. Clarity, yeah, I need some clarity for the higher gravity, universal sanity. Living for the right to be who I really wanna be. Fuck this shit, I need to breathe. Fuck this shit, I need to breathe. Clarity, yeah, I need some clarity for the higher gravity, universal sanity. Living for the right to be who I really wanna be. Fuck this shit, I need to breathe. 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 And that was it. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in to Dot Life. Thank you, Dot Life, for having me. My name is Tizy, and let's tune in some more.
Thank you for listening to Dot Life, which is available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Dot Life is produced and edited by me, Erin Caldwell. Technical and editing support are provided by Yasser Mahmoud. Additional support is provided by the Dorchester Reporter and the Record Company. Thanks to Tom O'Brien, Reverend Jeffrey Brown, Seth Daniel, and Tizy for joining this week's show. Thank you for listening, and we'd love it if you could share, subscribe, rate, and review the pod wherever you listen. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, visit .lifepod.com for more information.